What's up, everybody? Welcome into Funsie, a disc golf podcast. Today's guest has pretty much single-handedly grown the sport of disc golf and changed the way that we view it. We're joined by Anthem Disc Golf. Colin, thank you for joining the show. Appreciate you coming on.
Dude, this is a pleasure, man. How y'all doing?
Hey, we're great. Yeah, rainy rainy Monday morning here in Charlotte. Before we get into it and how you started doing this, I think it'd be fun to bring it back a little bit with something that we used to do all the time. A little bit different for you. What's been your wildest experience while out on the course recording and doing content? Because I would imagine you've had a lot of them at this point.
Yeah, that's a good question, man. Yeah, I mean, obviously, filming the pros is a different experience than filming your amateur player, and it comes with a lot of the prestige and stuff. And the craziest story, like there isn't a lot of crazy stuff that happens. I would just say, man, there is something different about the way the pros throw. I mean, you get out there, and especially it's cool because I'm filming from the other side, right? Where a lot of times discs are coming right at me, and even sometimes within feet of me, if we can do it right. If I can find a good tree to be behind where I'm not quite in their way, dude, you hear that disc whip by you, and it is an incredible experience. The way it just zooms by you, you hear it and you feel it. That's probably one of the craziest feelings I've ever had in my life.
I have to say, before we get too derailed, we'll try to keep it on the tracks. You are so good at the times that I've been at an event with you. You're so good at being able to break that fourth wall and be in front of a pro's face, or find all these ways to record maybe a group of people or the pro while they're looking at you. And that's something to this day that I still struggle with, is getting in their face a little bit more and just trying to, because those shots are so good and they're so important in order to make a cohesive product. So every time I see you do that, I'm like, man, I have to be better about that too.
Yeah, I think that took a bit of building trust, right? I remember my first event was 2023 Portland, and I was actually tasked with filming just Gannon Burr. And we did a little bit of Gannon Burr, we did a little bit of Cole Redon because we were out there in Portland and filming at his house. But I mean, even for me, there were nerves. I was a little bit like, hey, how do I approach these guys? These guys are the stars, they're the people that I've always looked up to. But I just remember thinking hey, they're also just humans. And after a bit and getting to experience even some friendship with these guys, they're totally cool, right? And so you build trust with people over time, and then you're able to enter into their spaces to be able to get shots that you probably wouldn't be able to get otherwise.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. Okay, where does disc golf start for you? And I guess on top of that, you can tackle this question as well. I mean, where does content creation start for you? Because now they're intertwined.
Yeah, I mean, disc golf started for me probably over 20 years ago. I was 14 years old at the time, maybe 13 or 14. And it's one of those things where my youth pastor said, hey, we're going disc golfing. And I was like, what in the world is that? And so we went out and picked up my first disc, and I think it was a Gazelle, an Innova Gazelle, maybe a Stingray. He had one of those as well. But, he gave me a few discs, and yeah, right, Stingray's underrated, man. Those things are awesome. And we just went out disc golfing, and it was one of those things we just fell in love with it. Me and my group of friends, we fell in love with it, so we started playing, and it was one of those things where we're playing every day this summer, going out, and so grew over time, and I went around the States and played. I've been able to be pretty fortunate to be able to kind of travel to the States over my past 20 years as well, and gotten a lot of courses in through that. And then the content creation kind of started on the side of yeah, how far back do we want to go? When I started traveling,
yeah, perfect time at the podcast.
Yeah, when I started traveling, I picked up a camera, and I thought it was cool and started documenting my journey. And man, looking back at the videos I made, I was so embarrassed now of how terrible they were. But you pick up a camera and you start doing stuff. I'll skip forward a little bit. I ended up working full time at a camp, at a Christian camp for kids, huge camp in Maryland. And I was an intern there, and they didn't have anybody doing video. So I was like, hey man, I could probably figure it out. So I bought the cheapest camera you could buy, a Canon T2i at the time, and started filming with that, learning YouTube every night till 2 a.m, just learning as much as I could. and started making content. And being at a campground really kind of helped that, because we had zip lines and horses and paintball and go-karts and all these activities where things are also in motion a little bit. And so I'm learning to get different shots than just like your static shot, where we're tracking things and interviewing people and getting kids and faces and doing a lot of different things and challenging people to do things. And so, started learning through that. And then the content in disc golf kind of started just a couple years ago. So there was a large gap in between that, where I don't remember, man. I was just watching disc golf, and I had a production company at the time where I've worked for my video for full time, where I've been able to work with companies that are small local companies, but also some big companies like your Nikes and your Under Armours and HBO. I've been able to film some shows for as well. So it's been a cool journey. But disc golf has always been my absolute love, like just my treasure of a love. And so at some point I was just like, why am I not filming disc golf? I just like woke up one day and I was like, how in the world have I not done this before? And so I reached out on Twitter. I've had maybe 3 tweets my entire life, and one of them was to a thread on Twitter where the guys were talking about disc golf content and disc golf marketing on DGN, and how a lot of the commercials, probably 4 or 5 years ago, were all kind of the same. They were very, very bland. We've grown since then, but a couple years ago, we were just getting started in the content world and commercial world for DGN. And so I just kind of commented on there, and I was like, hey, this is kind of what I think about disc golf content and commercials on DGN. And I got the attention of a guy named Ty Tannett, who works for the Pro Shop for the Pro Tour. And he's like, hey, man, if you want to partner together and make something. And it was that easy. And I was like, what? How is it this easy?
Yeah,
how is it this easy?
Disc golf. That's what I've noticed in disc golf, which is amazing. Like I've said it so many times on this podcast, how much opportunity there is, because I don't know the reason, but there's just so much opportunity where it's just very easy to kind of get into the space, like hitting up Ty and just saying like, hey.
Yeah, I mean, he came to me, right? I mean, it was like, it was incredible. And so we worked out a deal where, I flew to Portland and made a couple of videos for them. And through that, even after that, I still wasn't like, I'm going to become a content creator or whatever. It was just like, this is a cool experience. Maybe I'll get some work out of it. I'm still working for myself for a lot of stuff in my main production company. But again, stepping into that place, it was a change of life mentality for me. Where I was like, oh, I'm doing the thing that I want to do. So I remember going home and talking to my wife and being like, this is it. I have got to put everything into this, no matter what it takes. And so since then, I've been doing that. And I think it was Worlds the next year where I uploaded my first clip to Instagram, where I was like, I guess since I'm here, I'll upload one of the clips that I get. And it kind of took off, and people were like, hey, this is pretty cool. And obviously I have the slow motion camera, so there's a very niche thing within that people were enjoying. So from there, I was like, oh, I guess this is it, let's go for it.
Yeah, that kind of leads me into, not that disc golf is deserving of this, and obviously you're doing incredible things in the sport of disc golf, but I was always wondering, you could take what you're doing into pretty much anywhere else, and I was wondering why disc golf, but now it sounds like it's a labor of love and something that you've been with for a long time.
Yeah, it's a passion, man. I mean, probably the same as you. I mean, what would you say? Why disc golf for you,
It's just the thing that I was able to combine every single thing that I was looking for in my life.
Yeah.
Like the community, it was something that I could do with my family, I could do it by myself, with other people. It's just a creative outlet. The list goes on. Well, you mentioned a little bit about putting up that the first clips, and the first thing that I noticed was the slow-mo vids that you were putting up, and the success that I saw a lot of those have. Yeah, a lot of the form stuff, which we'll get into later, putting into an app, it looks like.
Sure.
But yeah, I was just curious about like starting off with that process a little bit, and just kind of what it's led you to now, and like the content you're making now.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a huge fan of slow motion. I remember when YouTube first started coming around, 15 years ago, and there was some people kind of in that niche doing some slow motion stuff, and I just gravitated towards it. I thought slow motion, it was like the slower the better for me, man, and it was so cool to experience and watch. And I don't know, a couple years ago, I had the opportunity to purchase this slow motion camera, and I used it for a lot of my main production work. But a lot of it was like, hey, this would be cool for disc golf down the road. And yeah, there's just something incredible about being able to break down in disc golf the form and what actually happens and things you can't see otherwise. I'm filming at about 1,000 frames per second, and usually, slow motion is going to be about 60 frames or maybe 120 frames per second. So we're talking like 10 times faster than what a normal slow motion clip would look like, and they're just things you can't see otherwise. So being able to capture that, break it down, kind of blow that wide open, I think it creates a new avenue for people to experience and enjoy the thing about the sport that is kind of a mystery, and so with mysteries kind of become a tension, and people are like, oh, what is this? Kind of let's pull that back a little bit, and so I just started doing that, posting slow motion clips, and yeah, that's kind of the start of it, and but I also have a love for cinematography and just what you can get out of a normal camera. So being able to pair those two together, I think, helps a lot as well.
Yeah, let's get kind of nerdy here. I'm curious what your typical setup is, because you're using that expensive camera, but I've seen you post things online just of the tons of multiple cases that you're bringing of equipment, of like lighting, and I'm sure maybe there's some other cameras that you use, or just take us through some of the things that you're doing to make your content.
Yeah, and dude, there are tons of content creators out there, and they do an amazing job. I love watching disc golf content. It's one of my favorite things. I wake up in the morning, I'm like, hey, let's scroll some disc golf content before bed. We're watching disc golf content from other creators and stuff. So I think there's some really talented people out there. For me, I have a few cameras that I pretty much rely on. One of them is the slow motion camera, which is it's called a Free Fly Ember. It's a few years old. But it does capture things at a very, very high speed relative to your normal camera. And then I have my other, what I call my main camera, and that's called the DJI Ronin 4D. And that's a pretty unique camera as well. I really am into like unique things and niche things. And so while I don't really have like a small DSLR like a Canon anymore, like a Sony FX3 of a very popular camera, I use this Ronin 4D, and it's kind of, people call it the chicken head camera, because it's got a gimbal built into it, and so as you're walking, it self balances itself, so you're not shaking or anything, and there's some really cool moves you can do with it. But it's also a very, very high quality camera, so it's a little heavy. It's about 12 pounds, so think about carrying a bowling ball around the course all day long. Think about like Ivy Hill and all the hills with that.
Dude.
I remember taking around Worlds, dude. It was so I was so sore, man. So sore.
I feel like when I think of you, that's like the one I see you most often carrying. Like,
same deal.
That massive camera with like the tiny lens.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. But it's a ton of fun. I really enjoy it. I love the picture that it gets, and I love the utility of it, what I can do with it, especially for disc golf. It's a lot of run and gun. It's a lot of like, I got to get this as fast as I can. I got to run to this spot. I got to know what's happening on course. So I don't really have time to mess with a lot of things. So with that camera, everything I need to do is at my fingertips. So that's why you see me like holding it like this a lot. Like I can push these buttons and very fast get into the setting that I need to get, rather than like trying to poke at the screen or anything. So that's super helpful. And then I try to bring some, GoPros and stuff like that as well. But between those things, it really kind of makes up exactly what I need for a weekend of disc golf.
Sweet. Yeah, so we have the gear. What's a typical day look like for you when you're doing media-related stuff? And maybe even what's the most difficult part that people may not understand about what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, disc golf is a grind right now for content. As far as being on the pro side, what I do, one of my biggest clients is the professional tour. So being able to work with them is awesome. We have a schedule that we kind of stick to. We have ideas and thoughts that we want to do for the entire year, and that's built up over time, right? Like when I first started working with them, it was like, here's a one-off product, here's a one-off project. Let's see if we can make this happen. And now it's more like, let's think about the entire year and how we can get everything we want to get, tie in a cohesive story all the way through. So it takes a lot of work, man. Like, geez, when I get out there, it's travel there, and travel is a big thing, because again, I'm carrying tons of cases with me. I'm going through airports, sometimes multiple airports to get to where I'm going.
That's stress alone.
Oh, dude, it's insane. I actually love it. Like, I love that type of life where we're just like on the edge of my seat. How can we make sure we
privilege,
get to
right?
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. So we get to the location or the course, and we'll all set up for the day. And I try to get as much FPO as possible, and then we'll turn that around and start doing MPO, and then we go back to the hotel and it's just like edit. So a lot of times, like we have projects within the weekend we want to get done. So if we have something we want to put on broadcast, so say like we went to Austin and then we did this entire thing with Kona and Colton Montgomery, where we went around the entire city for the afternoon, actually 3 days in the city, to different locations, and we put this into a broadcast piece. Well, that's got to get done before Wednesday night. Like Thursday morning is my cutoff for that. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're filming that, and we're also filming on-course content, like behind-the-scenes stuff. And so I get back to the hotel and just like, okay, edit time, edit. And it might be 2, 3 in the morning. I'm editing and sending things over to some of the Pro Tour guys. And then, morning comes and I'll sleep as long as I can, but it's like, we got to get back to the course. So it's a lot of grind like that. And, fortunately, I'm just kind of built for that. I really enjoy it, but it is tiring, So we'll do that, and then we'll make sure we got all of our broadcast pieces together, and then like the weekend comes, it's a little more relaxing where it's like, hey, just content capture what's going on through the week and make sure we get everything we want to get.
That's great. Like, you're putting all this time into traveling, recording, doing all these things, and you've actually made a video about this, what I'm about to mention. So I was listening to the Central Coast Disc Golf podcast, and they mentioned you using AI, like, sure, he's using AI in the voice in a particular ad that you had made for the Pro Tour. And I would imagine it's kind of, not to speak for you, it's probably sort of a pain to be putting all this time into something to essentially be, it's not defamation, that's not like, it's not that drastic, but it's just like 5 seconds, it's like, oh yeah, it's probably AI, and it's like, brother, I'm putting so much time into this thing that I love. Did you hear it naturally, or like did people bring it up to you when that happened?
I think I had somebody send it to me. And in that case, I probably would have heard it eventually, because I do listen to a lot of different podcasts. But yeah, I think someone sent to me, and like, dude, I took it off the chin. Like, it's like, okay, like. In that case, it's probably a little bit like, hey, maybe do a little bit more research, or reach out and talk to me. Like, hey, that'd be awesome to kind of, we can banter about it or whatever. But it's funny because in that specific case, of course, he was incorrect about his assumptions.
Right.
And, in that case, no, like we actually went through a rigorous process of choosing the exact person we wanted to, and paid quite a bit of money to make sure it was done the right way. And then on the other side of it, it's funny because like there were other times when I'm like, hey, there are times when AI has been helpful to me, and a perfect use case was that where I was in either Austin or Seattle or something, and we needed to turn around another video for the broadcast, and the guys I work with like, hey, can you do this? And I'm like, hey, there's no way I can go out and refilm this. Like, this was done in Charlotte a year ago. We made all this, and the reality was we just needed to fix one of the hats because we were very hyper focused on the pro shop for this, and the guy didn't have a pro shop hat on. He had a different, I think, another round hat on, which is cool, but it didn't fit for exactly what we needed. And so they were like, okay, we're gonna have to scrap this shot. And I'm like, oh man, like, it's such a good shot. And I was like, okay, instead of scrapping the shot, what if we just change the shot out? And the only possible way to do that was with AI. I had 12 hours to get it done, and even using AI, and I say using AI, but really, like, I curated it. Like, I had to go in and tell it exactly what was happening and how it was going to change. And it took me a few hours to get that done as well. But the only other way to do it would be to completely change it out in a compositing platform, which would have taken days and days and days to do. So I think with that use case was actually the most valuable and efficient way to do something, and it didn't hurt. And like, I'm the one who made the video. I'm the one who shot the video a year ago. We talked to the person. He was okay with it. Like, everything was aligned. It was just like we used AI as the way to creatively change the hat out so it made sense for the story.
Right. And I think a lot of people, their issue in that scenario, like, you're not being deceptive, you're being open about everything, and I think that's where a lot of people get upset about it. So, okay, let's get into Disc Golf Pocket Coach. This is an app, it seems like that. Man. Are you the one that is launching this, or is it someone else that you're working with?
Yeah, it's fun. So I don't know, maybe a month or couple months ago, a guy named Chandler Kahn approached me. He's a disc golf fanatic as well. He lives out in Colorado, and he approached me. He's like, "Hey man, I have been working on this app for a bit. You know, we're kind of in the beta stage. I got some beta testers. I've been using your footage as a way to analyze and kind of test the background of this." So he's like, one, he's like, "I hope you're okay with that." And two, is there a way to partner with this? You know, I'm like, and so I was like, "Hey man, thanks for coming to me. That's awesome. I'm glad the footage is usable and it's working for what you need." And I was like, "Hey, I think there is a way to partner on this." So, you know, we talked for a long time, and I kind of gave him a couple of options, and we talked through those, and it was like, "Hey, well, you can just use my footage, and maybe there's a payment plan we use through that where it's like, hey, you're acquiring the footage that I have to be able to use for your app." But I think there's also a bigger thing where it's, you know, disc golf and slow motion and form has been one of the things I just love, and I study, and obviously I look at for a long time doing what I'm doing. I also have you know, skills in marketing and content creation and development as well. So if you want to partner together on this, like, I would actually put forth some of this as a partnership where it's not just you using what I have, but I think there's some experienced stuff that I can kind of bring to the table. So we worked out a partnership where it's, hey, we're doing this together, and let's kind of change the way these kind of things are done. And so we've developed the app into a place I think is pretty cool. So basically the app it's called Disc Golf Pocket Coach. You take your form, you upload it into the platform, and then the software is going to analyze that form, and then out of that it's going to couple things. And one of those things is we have pros that we've now partnered with to use their slow motion form as a way to analyze as well. So you can compare your form to the pros side by side, exactly how they throw. And it's going to give you kind of a score based on that. And it's going to help you pick, like, it might say like, hey, you throw a little bit like Paul Macbeth or Aaron Gossage or 70% like Mason Ford, you know?
If an app tells me I would throw like Paul Macbeth, which not me, but just like you know, the hypothetical me, I'm posting that everywhere. I'm using that to my advantage.
Dude, right? Yeah, it's fun. But I remember when I first started getting into disc golf, the first thing I did when I was serious about it was like look up on YouTube the best pros in the world and try to copy and mimic their form. That was the only tool we had to be able to do that, right? And so we're just bringing a different tool to the table where we're bringing these guys to you and say, like, not to mimic their form, not to get exactly like it, but it definitely gives you a base, because these are the best throwers in the world, you know? So if you can at least get people interested in a quicker way to introduce them to the correct way to do form, put it in quotations marks, but give them an avenue where it's like, oh, if I can at least do these couple steps, and it's going to give you some tools, lessons, drills to be able to do that. That's kind of like the phase one of it. Phase two is we're going to keep building this thing out. And we have some really, really cool features that we're going to introduce, leaderboards and stuff like that. So like you might, instead of going to the app where it's just like, how can I correct my form or get better? It might be like a fun thing where it's more of a leaderboard of who can throw the most like this person, and try to like track them so they get higher and higher on the leaderboard just for fun. So a couple of those things as well.
That's so exciting. I mean, maybe people don't know this, but the way that Ben and I started talking with one another and hanging out is just talking about form and nerding out about like trying to get better and stuff like that. So hearing this app, I know that there are like a few others out there, but this one,
sure, I
would imagine the idea of getting your form analyzed and getting compared to a certain pro, I think that aspect alone will draw people in and be like, dude, I need to see who am I looking like, and then it actually builds like a bridge for them to visually like where they're supposed to end up, hopefully. I would imagine that you've probably used it. Whose form, what pro's form did it say that you are most like? I'm curious.
Most like, and we're trying to be like, you know, maybe we have that in the app as well. It's like, hey, nice try. You tried to do this, because for me, dude, and it's just because I've modeled my throw the certain way for a long time as well. Like, I have modeled my throw. I've tried to after Paul Macbeth. You know, he's my favorite player and also just a great human in general. But as I've studied form, like his form has kind of met what I do with my body as well, and that's what it's really about. It's like not trying to. What the app does really well is helps you figure out what you do well, and then kind of partners with what pro might be good for you. You know, like we're not trying to force you to a certain thing. So for me, yeah, it's going to say Paul McBeth is the most like what you throw like, which again is pretty cool.
That, yeah, super, super cool.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ben. I feel like I've just been talking a bunch. Like, if you have anything, please, please do your thing.
This is great. That's the beauty of podcasting. It's just the flow of it all, you know. I think those are great questions, and I don't mind not talking at all if that means just getting some great questions and interviews from our guest. Sure, but yeah, I do have a question or two, maybe. No. So I say you are the best content creator in disc golf. And by that, I mean, obviously you're not the YouTube, like how far can I shoot under par? But just quality wise, definitely the best content, because that we were talking about the DGT commercial a little bit. Like I feel like before you came into the sport, that was impossible. That's like an ESPN level commercial, or like, you know, that's something you see after the NBA halftime show, you know, or something like that, where it was super impressive. What would you say in the YouTube space, like Foundation, Bodanza, Jay Milley? What do you think anyone could?
Yeah.
Do you want to see starting to get implemented to, I guess, take their content to the next level, or anyone that's just watching this that just wants to start creating, I guess, personal content where it's like about them rather than documenting? Do you see anything in the YouTube content space that, like, you think could be taken to the next level, where it's more, I guess, polished, kind of like yours, or is it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, dude. Disc golf is in an interesting place right now, right? It's in an interesting place where we are growing, and we had the COVID boom, and out of that came tremendous channels like your Jay Millies and your Foundations, and that is so entertainment based. Or I think it's almost two different products, right? Like we're like, my focus isn't on the YouTube side and being I wouldn't even necessarily call myself a mainstream content creator. I make content, but I'm more of a production guy, like production creator. And that's really where it comes in, is like my intentionality is in the production side. Like at the beginning of this year, you know, one of my videos on YouTube, I said, like, hey, my goal in 2026 is to make disc golf better. And the way I'm going to do that is through my skills. And so even in that, I think if your goal is to make disc golf better, do it through your skills. You just walk down that path. And so I wouldn't even necessarily push people towards being like more polished, like if it's a Jay Milley or a Foundation or whatever. Like what they're doing works really well, and they know it works for them. Like I've talked to Foundation before, and like they know it works for them, you know, and they're actually not going to go do certain things, even though it might look better in a certain way. Like they're going to stay in their lane. And so staying in your lane is one thing. But if you do have a desire to be more polished, like there's really some just intentionality behind it, right? Like, I mean, even say like, I mean, look at the background here. Like this took time to set up. You know, I had to think about what I wanted to ahead of time and test certain things out. And it took me a little bit of time to figure that out. And so when you talk about like that commercial you saw, like we spent months planning it and being like, here's what we could do, and going through several revisions and talking about that. And then when we actually scouted, so I actually took a trip to Charlotte where we were going to do the commercial ahead of time. So I flew out there.
Wow.
You know, like that takes time, that takes money, that takes effort, and we scouted each place we were going to do, took pictures, took some video, acted things out like we thought they were going to look in real time of day, you know, like who's doing certain activities. Then we came back, and then we talked about it again, and we went through more revisions, and then we got out there for the actual day. And you know, Kevin Hoover, who's the Pro Tour photographer, awesome guy as well, just a dream to work with. That was my first time kind of working with him on a bigger project. And dude, I mean, we had amazing chemistry in the way we worked. Like he's one of those guys where like I always saw him out on the course and being like, oh, that's the photographer, and like he's such in his lane right there when he's doing stuff. So I was, even for me, I was like, man, like am I gonna approach this guy and be like, hey, it'd be cool to work with you one day because I enjoyed his stuff, but I was nervous, but being able to work with them, like, dude, we killed it. We hit it off like I haven't hit it off with a guy like that working with them in a long time. So we had a ton of chemistry working together. But yeah, we took the pieces we had. So I'm lugging around pieces in my car, lighting pieces and camera pieces, and we're setting up in alleys, and we have these giant setups. Like, that's what it takes to kind of do these things. And I don't think you have to go that far. I think people are doing that pretty well. There's a guy, Up and Down Disc Golf, does a great job of this. If you've ever watched his content, like,
he's more cinematic,
intentional. Yeah, there's an intentional side of it where, again, he's taking his time and working through storyboards of what he wants to do. So if you want to go down that lane, you can do it. It just takes a little bit of time and intentionality.
Yeah, we love Kevin here.
That's honestly a perfect answer. I was kind of wondering what your answer was, and because I wanted to say this afterwards is because exactly what you're saying. It's like the coolest thing about content creation. Obviously, we have, like, you gotta get to a certain level, but the coolest thing is you don't have to be super polished to create great content. Like, if you take anything from that, I think that's the most important thing. It's just like you got to do where your strengths are, and to a certain level, obviously, you can't just be posting an unedited, I don't know, like, putting session with no mic and stuff like that. But, like, once you understand kind of the fundamentals, like mic, like a high quality camera, at least chopping footage out. You can go really far, especially in the sport of disc golf and where we're at. So, that's the YouTube side, and I guess maybe this question applies to YouTube side, applies to everything. Like, I feel like disc golf media is rough around the edges. You can probably think of many examples. How do you think? I don't know how to phrase this question. I want to say we, but, like, I don't know. I don't mean as we. I mean as just, like, disc golf. Like how do you think we as disc golfers, just the whole disc golf, whatever, can step up? Like, what needs to happen to create better disc golf media? And why do you think? Because this is fascinating. Why do you think kind of disc golf media has kind of just been slower and not as polished? I probably have an answer, but I'm curious as to yours.
Dude, how much money do you have? That's that's part of it. But
absolutely,
dude, you have to bring value, right? You have to bring value to the sport. You have to bring ROI, or return on investment. You have manufacturers that put together their content, and what they're looking for is return. So that's part of it. I think I don't want to get into too much hot water here, but there is, like, I think one of the problems that we've run into with disc golf, and I'll kind of lean in towards, like, what we do as marketing, I'll say. So you if you watch DGN, you have commercials that are on DGN, and a lot of those are just disc golf commercials. We're starting to get to the point where there are outside people and companies getting commercials on there as well, but part of it's just like we're so saturated with what we view as far as commercial side on the network, where and it's also like what is put out there. So you have, say, 5 manufacturers, right? We'll just say 5.
Basically have 5. Yeah. Anyways, it's like 7 or something. So manufacturer commercial 1 comes on. And the basic premise of the commercial is we have discs, buy our discs. And then the next commercial comes on, it's manufacturer 2, right? And they're competing companies, and their thing is we have discs, buy our discs. And then manufacturer 3 comes in, that's 4. 3 comes in, and it's we have discs, buy our disc. And so there's really no separation of identity in the way those are run, So I would say, like, man, let's find some new identity in the way that we approach marketing. And I wouldn't say for everybody, for a lot of disc golf companies, they were created by people who love disc golf but don't necessarily have
a background in other types of business or marketing as well. So it's a lot of playing catch up in that. And I will say that there are some cool companies that are doing some pretty cool things out there. But just as a general overview, a lot of it's just like, we have product, buy our product. I would love to see more storytelling in that. I think Squatch does a great job of that. You know, one of the recent commercials with Ezra Gannon, and who else is in there?
Calvin, right?
Yeah, Calvin. Yeah, it's great where it's not like they're not hard selling their product. They're creating a story out of it where you're interested in the story. And I would love to see that play out even more. You know, like Seek the Legend is kind of their tag on that. And it's pretty cool. Like, you got these guys going through the forest. And again, it's not a hard sell. They have their product, but they're not like, hey, we have product, buy our product. It's more of what's interesting about this concept that gets me intrigued towards watching it. And if I can align with that, then hey, yeah, I'm gonna start aligning myself with that product, and maybe I'll purchase it. That's a much better way to market rather than just like hard selling, especially if you're on DGN where the niche is already so far down the tunnel. Where in order to sell a product on DGN, dude, somebody has to know about disc golf. They have to enjoy it enough to watch the pro side or be invested in the pro side. Then they have to buy a subscription to the only platform you can watch it. Then they have to have their afternoons free on the weekend. Then they have to be invested in turning it on. And then you can get a commercial in front of them. And if it's too saturated, and if you're watching commercials and it's like, we have disc, buy our disc, we have disc, buy our disc. Yeah, it's just not going to, it doesn't work well.
I think also a part of it is, this is with anything, disc golf has like such a, I guess, small pool to pull from for everything. You know, it's just a much smaller sport where, like, I guess it takes a little longer for certain types of media to get to that standard, because what we might see as like okay, media is probably at one point was probably like the gold level for disc golf, because that's the best that they could do. Whereas like if someone tried to put a commercial together, like I'll say the NBA again, the NBA would be like, what is this? So I think that just comes with everything. As you grow, it's like, you know, things get better and better and better, but you got to start somewhere where, like, you know, there's a base level content or experience that is like top of the line for the sport. But I think that's why it's amazing that you come, like you and K Hub, like I just see Kevin on the course, like putting like a little like a prism on the camera, or like putting like an aluminum can. Like, it's just like incredible how he understands all of that and knows what he's doing, and same with you. So I think you two are really going to start to elevate the bar, where it's like, oh crap, like we can no longer do record on our DSLR 1080 Canon 80D. Hi, welcome to, and then just show the discs and like their store. Like, we have to do something special. So I think it just takes people that are like more experienced, and then for it to kind of be elevated.
Yeah. Well, I'll ask you as well, like from the consumer side, like what do you want to see? You know, like turn the question back on you, and what do you want to see? And when you're watching coverage and commercials come through, are you fully invested in those? Does it make a difference for you when you're watching commercials to be like, oh, I saw that, oh, I gotta take a look at that, or is it just kind of going by?
So, yeah, I think what I want to see, I don't like. That's what I'm saying. That's why I asked you a question. I don't really know what I want to see. I know for the commercial side, I do enjoy more of the Your Style or the Squatch style, or like even like Latitude 64. I think has put together some like premium, where it's like, this is a proper commercial, where it's like I love their series when they were like, it's okay, I'll disc golf tomorrow. Like, that's just it's not directly selling their disc, but it's something I remember. I don't really remember any other commercials.
Exactly,
I remember that one because, you know, it was something unique. So I don't in that sense, I guess I'm just looking for more commercials. But in the case of does it sell me, or am I paying attention? I'd say yes. I don't know. Well, I'd say yes, I'm paying attention because disc golf, super passionate about disc golf, like everyone here. And it's enjoyable to watch disc golf commercials to see what the brands have put together. It's like watching basically a new episode of something. You know, if it's the first time I've seen it, it's just enjoyable to see what this disc golf company has come up with for their commercial, and it's enjoyable because it's directly targeted basically at me.
Yeah.
Selling wise, I don't know if I'm like the best example because I just buy all my discs off end of a factory second store. But I think like I just said, that Latitude video, I think if I was first starting in disc golf, and because it's still in my brain, that would kind of keep that in the back of my brain. I think it's a good, what is it called? When like whatever, it's a good starting point. It's like the first point of contact. Is that what it's called? There's like 7 points of contact before you make a sale or something like that. So it's a good solid point of contact. If you have a good commercial, that's going to be in the back of your mind. But I think there's going to be a few other things that need to happen for it to make the sale. Most cases, like maybe I go into Marshall Street and then see Latitude 64 Bolt, and I'm like, oh, this is the commercial, you know? Or I see them banner on like Heinola the past weekend where they had massive banners, and it's like, oh, that's so. I think that's what the commercials are for me personally. It's just kind of like that first point of contact that will lead eventually to a sale, but I don't think it's gonna sell me right away. I don't know.
I think it brings up a good point as well. Like I would love to see more companies, whether it be manufacturers or other product companies in disc golf, entering to other spaces like social media and YouTube to actually tell bigger stories or bring us behind the scenes. I think MVP was doing this for a bit, where you got a little bit of glimpse behind the curtain. But you know, again, if we're only focusing and working towards marketing on one platform, that the 3% of people that are interested in buying your thing anyway are already on, you know. I think there's a greater avenue where you could open up the YouTube space or whatever for manufacturers and companies to start creating content on, whether they're partnering with content creators, collaborators, or doing it themselves to bring in bigger stories and get a bigger piece of the pie, but also talk about it being introductory. Again, like if you're first starting out in disc golf, my first stop isn't going to be to get a subscription to DGN. Even though I love DGN, I think it's actually a great product for what you pay for it. And I do some work for them, so there's some bias there.
Yeah.
But again, the first stop is YouTube, right? And so I'm like, hey, why aren't these companies spending more time and effort digging into those platforms? Because those, if you're new in disc golf, that's where you're going to be.
And it's free to an extent. I mean,
it's free.
And obviously you'll have employees and stuff like that. But yeah, it's free marketing. Where, my opinion, a lot of the marketing that is like, you know, in disc golf, like sponsorships and stuff like that, I don't think has really significant ROI. Meaning like you spend whatever $10,000 for a commercial. I don't know what it is. Like, I don't think you're going to see it directly $10,000 back from that commercial, but I think you have to do it. So it's like this, like, it's just a very confusing thing. And I'd love to, like, anyone like in the comments who's like a advertising guru or stuff like that, because I do believe if you're not advertising on a pro tour, not advertising in front of people and whatever, I think the people that are advertising do have a leg up, but I don't think they're seeing direct ROI. From all that, or like it is some direct ROI, but I mean like they're not, from that piece of content, they're not gonna make $10,000 back instantly. I think it's just like you have to be in the ecosystem it's like what I'm saying, just like back in the mind. Like when I see, I'm gonna say
brand equity.
Yeah, exactly. Marshall Street, they have banners and stuff like that, or Infinite Discs, or there's a bunch of on the Pro Tour when I'm caddying for Gannon is just like all the, and then I see that over and over and over again.
Yep.
So eventually, you know, I'm going to gravitate towards these brands. So I think it is important and necessary. You have to advertise. especially on it through the Pro Tour and all these things. But I don't know. Does that make any sense what I just said?
Yeah. What do you think, Ken? Before I can jump in there, but
Ken, let us know.
Oh, dude, that went right over my head, and it's my own name. I'm vehemently opposed to any sort of advertisement that's directly telling me, "Hey, we have something, buy something." I don't know why I'm that way, but if any company is just like, "You need this thing that we have," it actually like kind of makes me angry and is more likely to push me in the opposite direction. So any way that you can integrate storytelling, or even just because if ads are on, realistically, I'm not going to be paying attention. So if there's something that is like catchy about it, or I feel like where it gets stuck in my head and I'm forced to say it out loud or sing it or something, or I feel like someone that did a decent job was Clash Discs, where they had they had like fun branding, and maybe they'd be pulling like a ginger disc out of dirt or something.
Yeah.
There's something
That's a good
cool
example.
around there.
I remember that.
So I think the real issue is like, how can I take a storyline and make it fit into this 20-second commercial? I think that's really the big question, and there's no easy answer to that to like make someone want to care about something. So yeah, that's where I fall. Why don't we get into, Colin? I'm curious, what keeps you coming back to disc golf, man? What content is exciting for you right now?
Yeah, dude. Okay, that's a fun question because I mean, obviously, when I first started making content, it was a lot of like the slow-mo stuff, posting that, and it was obviously there's something really cool about it. And I think it still holds a lot of weight. But for me, like I get pretty like stale if I keep doing something for a long time, and so I'm always looking into new ways to approach storytelling or whatever. And for me, it really is a story, right? Even with the slow motion, like for me, there's a story in there, and I really love being able to look at that. It's a little longer for a lot of people. Like even some of my friends are like, "Man, like I can't watch slow mo. It just takes too long." I'm like, that's fine. That's not for you. Whatever. It's great. But for me, dude, like I can sit down and I can watch a slow motion clip all day long. It just hits my beat, right? But as far as creating, I want to do things outside of that, and so I have started to work with the pros a little bit to get more content out there that's focused on storytelling, whether it be sitting down with an interview for them, doing some in the bags that I think are a little bit more creative as well, or telling some more stories that hopefully we'll be coming out with soon that are more like, hey, let's pull the curtain back a little bit with the pros, since I work with the pros mostly, and see what's going on behind their lives as well. And then I have a few projects that I'm working on as well that are a little bit surprises. Maybe I can release it as a way to tell you guys as well. Yeah, exclusive, man. But yeah, I mean, and the app is one of those projects as well. But yeah, just going through the year, I want to start creating content that has a little bit more weight to it besides just like, hey, watch someone throwing a disc.
Dude, I've been loving what you've been doing recently of just like making us think, and just introducing new things. Like you did a video for our aeroframe, which is like the coolest thing ever, super polished, super pristine. But you've done that with a ton of other items and then other like think pieces. You posted one recently. I can't think of it on the top of my head. You posted one recently where it was like, how do we something? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Maybe I can look it up.
Yeah. Pull it up.
Those pieces were.
yeah. But I love that style of content that you're doing. That I think it's fresh and something that disc golf hasn't had, where it's just like high quality content, but it's also interactive with the viewer. Of you're kind of putting it on us. Let me look it up while you speak.
Yeah, look it up, and like because there is more to disc golf than just throwing a disc. Like disc golf is so complex, and it's one of the most beautiful sports. There's so much that goes into it. I absolutely love it. Talking about just throwing in general, like there are so many variables to a throw. You have the disc, but you also have how broken in the disc is, like can make a difference. And then you have like disc speed, and then you have like angle of disc, then you have the wind factor, and all these different variables just going to one throw, where the throw itself was cool, but the mindset behind it is actually even cooler, where you're stepping up to a throw and you have to think about all these variables before you make that decision. And for some people, it's just for fun. For some people, it's for $10,000. So that's a huge thing. And so whether it be those types of things or talking about different marketing aspects of the game or storylines that are going on, I love digging into those and kind of presenting those as a way for people to engage with the sport, whether they have been around for a long time or they're just picking up for the first time or being introduced to it.
Yeah, so I found the video. It was you talking about the Creators Cup and like giving your opinion on how other sports and brands have really dove into the creator side, and then you obviously gave your opinion on like it, but then left it up to us, like what do you think has to happen to take disc golf to the next level or something like that. So I thought that was a really cool video because it's something that obviously like you don't really think about at all, but it's definitely a cool think piece of just like, you know, introducing creators and how important they are to the space and why people should be working with creators more. Yeah. Also,
real quick.
Oh, sorry. Real quick for me. I was gonna say I gotta go back to what I was talking about. I had to look it up. It's brand familiarity and brand association.
Sure.
That's why it's super important to, because it's like you see it over and over, so it's in the back of your mind. You're not gonna get directly whatever money back, but you'll probably get it back eventually through just being like all in their face. That's what I was trying to say. Go ahead, Kenneth Klimbus.
Is there any well-known disc golf pro that you haven't recorded yet or done any content with yet?
Oh, there's tons that I haven't done direct content with. I mean, obviously, I've probably filmed every single one of them as far as like, hey, I got your throw on camera. I could use it in a platform at some point. But there are a ton of pros I'd love to keep doing more films with, and hopefully that'll continue to happen as we have more time and resources as well.
Are there what are a couple that are kind of at the top of your list that you'd love to do some stuff with?
Oh, you got to do something with Ken Climo, right? Just the history that's in there.
I'm right here, bro.
Kenneth Klimbus.
Ken Klimbus, sorry, Ken. That would be awesome. I've done a lot of stuff with like Ezra Aderhold, Sullivan Tipton. They've been great to work with. Gannon, I've shot a couple things with on and off the course. Who's someone that I haven't shot with yet that I've been like, man, I'd love to do something real big with them. The Robinson brothers, I'd love to do more with them. I shot them on an idea over the off season. We couldn't make it work in the time, but I wanted to do something with them. I think it'd be really cool as well. Those guys are great.
I love it, man. So what's on the next, or what's on the horizon for Anthem? What do you got coming up that people may not know about? Yeah,
I mean, so my thing is like, how can we keep creating better and better disc golf content? I think content is king, right? That's what they say. Like, content is king. You know, like, it's what we are introduced by, and it's how we consume the sport is through content. So if I can use the skills that I have, that I've been gifted with, to keep doing that and make it better and better, we're going to be in a good place. And there are other great content creators out there. Man, love watching those guys as well. I want to change the culture, right? I want to change the culture of how disc golf is viewed. And there's some pretty weighty things behind that. One of those is working against some of the culture that's already set up. So there's a couple sides of disc golf where one, like for me, I'm like, let me invest in the sport. I don't mind paying for things if I think I'm getting value out of it. But for a lot of people, like, the disc golf culture is a little bit like, hey, we don't want to pay for everything, or we want to make sure that we're getting stuff out of it that's good for us. Whether it be, we don't want to pay for courses, or for product, or whatever it is, or like my big hot take is like, dude, get rid of player packs for most tournaments until you're at a certain spot. I would rather like gift my money to the tournament, so the tournament director can either pocket it for himself, because I think tournament directors should get paid a pretty significant amount of money. It's a hard thing to put on a tournament, especially the higher and higher you get. So there are people are upset about that. You know, whether it be on the high level where you have these guys running tournaments and people are like, oh, they're pocketing so much money. I'm like, dude, you have no idea what it takes to put on a tournament like this. Like, I don't care about my player pack that much as far like I think it's cool to get one, but if I can give it away, so my hot take is like, yeah, get rid of player packs.
Oh no, let's go with this. Let's talk about this.
Come on, bring it on.
Bring it on, because I have this take as well, and I know Josh from Overthrow really has this take, and I think my take is kind of like formed from his take. Get rid of player packs. Get rid of funny money for amateurs. Get rid of funny money for amateurs.
Yeah.
Bring the cost, like that'll bring the cost down. If you just get rid of that and do trophies only, because every other sport in amateur, it's just trophy. It's like first, second, third. Here you go. Congratulations. That's why you play. Disc golfers, not all
culture,
of them,
man.
but it's just the am side. It's like, okay, I'm gonna enter this tournament. How can I make my money back? How can
exactly.
am I getting my players pack? Am I gonna get some funny money back? It's just too. I don't know what the word is, but it's like it can be like whiny. It's like we're so privileged as amateurs. It's like we just expect way too much, and I think it's not ruining sport, but I don't think it's good for the sport to have all the players pack and the funny money. I think you have to lower it so it's more more accessible. If you get rid of that stuff, it's going to be more accessible for more people to play, because you no longer have to be required to do a players pack, because that's what it is. That's why they do it. You are required to do a players pack for the value up to a certain point, and then all these brands are doing players pack because that's how they make their money. All the tournaments, that's how they make their money. They're buying it at 60%, selling it at 100%. And that's really where they're making their money, because they, like the PDGA, I don't think there's really any other way for you to make your money, because they have such strict outlines that I think the only other way, might be a Funsie fact, I think the only other way other than the players pack is like you have to denote, because I'm pretty sure the PGA makes you denotate everything where all the money's going.
Yeah.
So you have to take like a fee, like $5 goes to the tournament director. So there's not really a lot of incentives for people to run tournaments. Other than through the players pack. So if you just get rid of the players pack, and then it's just you change the community, like you're saying, to where it's like, hey, the TD's getting $10 out of this, or $5, or some of them will do it for free, and you're getting a trophy. And then people will be like, oh, like, thank you for running the event, TD, instead of being like, how can I maximize? Oh, I didn't cash today. Like, was my player pack good enough to meet my entry fee? It's I don't know. It's toxic in my opinion.
Yeah, and all these things compound, right? I mean, this goes all the way up. It starts at player packs, whatever, and I think it actually worked its way up to people being mad at people like Nate Heinold, who are putting in bids for Worlds and winning a Worlds bid because he's the only person to put in a Worlds bid. And it's like, again, what is the incentive for a tournament director to put in a tournament if he has to put all this funny money out there? Like, instead of focusing on making the tournament as absolutely prestigious as possible, you have to worry about people and on the C tier being like, my player pack didn't include enough eagles in my,
Yeah, exactly. And someone like Nate Heinold is a perfect example, because I've peeked behind the curtain and have talked to some people. Like, they spend so much money that, like, I'm sure some tournaments they didn't make money, but or even maybe even lost money, just because of like how the outlines are and stuff like that. I don't really know, but I've heard something like that. But one of the bigger reasons, like, it's helpful is because he can direct people to shop Ledgestone. It's kind of like, obviously he
exactly right.
Yeah, so he might make some money, but even if he doesn't care, because it just grow into Ledgestone brand, and then it directs them to shop Ledgestone.
Yeah, so he made a company around it that funnels through. But for other tournament directors of an A tier tournament or whatever, they don't have a company behind that things can filter in through. So at the end of the day, they've run their A tournament. They may want to get to a spot where they're on a major, But again, the incentive to be able to get there when you're focused on other stuff is not there. Like I'd rather pay premium to get into a premium tournament, have a premium experience at the tournament, walk out of it. Maybe I have a trophy, but even if I don't, I'm like, that was a great experience, rather than walking out of it being like, did I get my money's worth back?
Yeah.
That's a terrible way to run any business, where you're just pushing it back and then pushing back money back and forth. So yeah, I mean, changing culture, right? So changing culture is part of that. And for me, it's through the media side for most of that. But also, like, I am working on a couple things that I hope are going to be part of that. And, like, if you want an exclusive, I'll give you an exclusive, man.
Yes.
Oh, hit us.
Do it.
So for the past year, I have been working on it's so crazy. It's the first time I've said it. A disc golf apparel company that is more than just like, hey, let's buy a shirt off the shelf, tag it with some graphics, and put
Baskets.
it out there. Yeah, baskets. Yeah. I have been working for the past year on designing actual what I would call disc golf apparel. So every other sport in the world has culture around their apparel. Whether it be basketball or baseball or tennis. For disc golf, we have kind of taken it from other sports and just kind of applied it to ourselves, whether it be the jerseys we wear or some of the other clothes and apparel accessories as well. So for me, I was like, hey, if I want to change culture, I'm going to start in this area. And it's been a passion of mine for the past, a year or so, where I've sat down with a designer and actually designed what I think, and work with pros is like, hey, this could be great disc golf apparel. From there are some jerseys and polos in there as well, but they're different. It's not like, hey, we pulled a polo off the shelf, we pulled a jersey off the shelf and just applied graphics to it. Dude, we sat down and talked about fabrics and cut and design and carve these things out to the way it fits and the way it wears is a premium experience. And then we talked about hoodies and joggers and pants and coats and everything else, and formatted them to what disc golfers should wear from fabrics and stuff. So when you're walking the course, they feel like you're a disc golfer, rather than like, hey, I just went and bought a jogger or a hoodie from the store and I can wear it for disc golf. Like, this is a disc golf apparel company. And so I posted about it a little bit. It's called Anthem. So instead of like my Anthem, it's just ANTHM, and like the Instagram's called Anthem House. So that's going to be starting here soon, hopefully in the next couple months. I just got some more samples in, so we're working on that. And as I continue to build that out, I'm really excited to see how the culture responds to it as well.
Yeah,
that's so cool, man.
I think that's awesome. Yeah, I think there's definitely some gaps in disc golf apparel. Like it I don't know. Sometimes it's like, and I'm a terrible case of this, but sometimes when I see that, I'm like, when I look at that, when I caddy for Gannon and watching the coverage, I just have like shorts and like a regular jersey on, and I'm like, I feel like there's a space for like just like more professional like disc golf apparel, where it's just like, instead of just like, it's like a collared shirt and then like some khaki board shorts or whatever, that's disc golf specific. But I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but I'm just saying I think there's just so much. I think disc golf has kind of, like you're saying, gone to this certain thing that everyone's doing. I think it's going to be really refreshing to see kind of just like a new take and spin on it.
Colin, thank you for joining us today. Yeah, huge pleasure having you on. Everybody make sure to go follow Anthem Disc Golf on Instagram. And is it July 17th when the app comes out? Did I get that
July
right?
17th, yeah, July 17th, this Friday, is when the app drops. First 100 people can get like half off for a couple months. I would love to hear feedback, whether it's from you guys or anybody out there that might want to join on there. Right now we have a wait list, but yeah, that'll drop July 17th. Let us know how it is, man. Like, we want to format this for you. This isn't just for us to kind of make money off of. Like, this is something like that's a labor of love. We want to put it out there as a way to engage the sport. So yeah, give us your feedback.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. If you enjoyed this interview or other things like that, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, Funsie out.
Funsie!